Yo, what's up, guys? So today I'm going to be covering breakers that I think are pretty strong in the metagame at the moment. So I knew you guys enjoyed a little bit about the tier list, about some of the hand traps that are being played in like the last list. So today I'm going to be covering more about what type of, I guess, board breakers are viable and strong in the current I guess metagame, right? So of course, before we get started, if you guys are interested in getting any specialized coaching to help work on your deck or figure out like the best way to tackle an event, then definitely hit me up for coaching in the description box below. You can also join my classroom, which is a opportunity for you to collaborate with myself and other like-minded individuals to basically get better at the game. I have a bunch of different tiers and a bunch of different options in which you can help support the channel, but then also gain some nice little perks along the way to move you on your, I guess, Yu-Gi-Oh journey. But yeah, definitely look into that if you guys are interested. And of course, guys, don't forget to check out Supreme Pro. You can buy a pack of sleeves for 10% off if you use pack 10. So don't forget to definitely check that out. Best sleeves in the game. And another cool thing is if you guys are subscribed to the classroom, I will be giving out a pack of Supreme Pro to anyone who shows me on their phone at events that they're a part of the classroom. So nice little bonus, I guess, thing for y'all right now. But yeah, looking forward to connecting with all of you. And I'll be at the Philly regional this weekend, so that should be a lot of fun. But yeah, anyways, let's get right into the video. All right, so we have 4 different categories for y'all here today. So the first one's gonna be break your back. So this is like basic cards I think if you decide to play a board breaker deck to consider main decking. Side are gonna be some like really good options to put in your side deck if you're playing board breakers. Potential ones are like things that I think could maybe have some viability in the future, or like they might have some really cool niche scenarios that could make them applicable, but I'm not really too sure. And then cheeks is just shit, man, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, let's jump right into it. I think Pankratops is a really good potential. I think that if floodgates become more prevalent, I think Pankratops is like a really good card because it's able to attack over monsters and then trade 1-for-1 into everything else. Unfortunately, because Yubel is so popular, or Yubel is one of the stronger decks of the meta game, you're unable to like really clear or like get the value of Pank by being able to attack and then banish and like change, like I guess like pop a card, because like Nightmare Pain. So I don't think it's that good, but maybe against other matchups, I think it can be kind of nice to have Pank in your deck, right? So definitely something to consider. But overall, it's just like a really safe card. I think it can have some potential, like I said, but it just depends on how the meta shapes up. And I think that especially because of the fact that there isn't really like Apples in the format anymore, Pank can kind of like trade into IP, it can trade into SP really nicely. So I think overall it's like really, really good. So no complaints here. Kurikara, I think this card is cheeks. I just don't see it being that strong at the moment. Just because like I think by the time you summon Kurikara, you've already lost. So I don't really like it that much. I think Kaiju's are cheeks, Santa Claus are cheeks because I think they fall in the same category. Lava Golem is cheeks. I just don't think that you can hit enough cards with these type of like 1-for-1s. I think that because Yugioh has gotten to a point where if you're playing breakers, you want to always go like +1. Because Lava Golem makes it so you can't normal summon, I think that it's not as efficient, not as good. And the fact that it's a fire monster, if you're playing like, a fire deck, they have Promethean in the graveyard, which can target the Lava Golem you give them and then pop one of your cards. So I don't really like it. The other issue with like cards like Santa Claus is that like if you give them a Santa Claus and then you're unable to out it, you give them a draw, but then also a Light Fiend, which allows them to link it off into a Fiendsmith, right? So overall, not really a big fan of these type of cards. But another really good like card in the general is like Wing Dragon of Raw Sphere Mode. So this is a really good card because of the fact that I think this is really good out to a lot of the boards in the current format for decks that don't need the normal summon. So like a good example would be like Branded doesn't really need to utilize its normal summon. You can definitely side out a bunch of normal summons and play off Opening, Fusion Deployment, Branded Fusion, Albion, High Spirits, Springer's Kit, right? Like there are a bunch of ways to like play your engine without committing to the normal. So I think Winged Dragon of Raw is a good way to kind of like help answer some of like the boards of the current format. Denkuseka has some potential, but I think like there aren't really that many trap decks in the metagame, so I would say it's cheeks. I think Frenir is a really good main deck card. I think that it's not like I don't know. I would put it like in between like main or potential. I'm not really sure what I feel like it, but I feel like maybe potential is fine. Similar role as Pank. Overall, just generic enough card. But I don't think like at the moment it's that good of a card, just because like a lot of decks are they are able to fill their engine enough to the point where it's good. And like I said, I want like kind of like breaker cards to have +1s. Ably isn't really that good in the moment, in my opinion. I think Ishizu could be main decked if your deck can't just play it, right? Like I would just play it if you could. I think like Ishizu's shufflers are strong. I think change cards are really good side deck because I think taking your opponent's cards is really strong in the meta game. Talents is probably one of the best cards to main deck because going second it can threaten DSRA, but usually like if you're playing a breaker approach, you can even activate Talents to draw 2, and then like like it's really crazy because you play breakers, you're probably more likely drawn to another breaker and then get like maybe an engine card, so you go +1 on that interaction. I think Thrust is like a main deckable card if your deck could like justify it, in my opinion, just because like Thrust is able to get you access to pretty much like any normal spell, so it's either engine or non-engine, so the fact that it's dual purpose makes it just a really good main deck, I guess, breaker, in my opinion. I'll put a Shizu Silver as potential because I don't think I would main it actually. Like there's probably just better like breakers. I think Super Poly has a lot of potential. I think that there's probably gonna be some, I guess, like more Super Poly targets that are coming out, especially in Rage of the Abyss, right? Like you have like Duke Devil and like a bunch of other really cool cards coming out, so maybe it could be kind of fire. I have to look at the Azamina fusions again if you could like Super Poly some of the Azamina cards, but that can be consideration. Unfortunately to Yubel, because Phantom can't really be Super Poly, it's not as good. But you can definitely do like Sepelia with like, DSRA and Verugus. Could be. I mean, the issue is like the DSRA will send the Sepelia immediately after, so you need a deck that can, go down to 4 cards and keep playing after the fact, after getting Sepelia outed, and then beat Rage after the fact, right? So I think Raigeki is really good main deck if you're, and Dark Hole really good main deck cards if you play like Tenpai, right? We've seen how broken these cards are. These, I think, literally won the Euro Championship, so it's just really, really good. I think Lance has potential. I mean, Chalice has potential. I think Lance has cheeks. Chalice is just kind of like another imperm when you go first, and going second to 1-for-1, but I would say it's not as good as Forbidden Droplets because I think Droplets can hit multitude of cards while Chalice can only hit 1, and like I said, 1-for-1s just aren't really that good in the metagame. Feather Duster, Storm, Cosmics, I think these cards are like all like very, very strong cards. Like if you could main them, you probably would. Like Tenpai would probably main them, but overall these cards are just very good. I like Cosmic a lot because of how dual purpose it is. It's able to hit the runic decks, like the Wetwood decks. It's able to go first into Yubel, like hitting the like their Nightmare Pains or their Throne. And then Cosmic is just overall a very flexible card. I think that like having back removal was always nice. Sometimes you get sacked by the one of skill drain that your opponent plays, or the one of anti-spell. You know how people get. They play like those floods and they try to get you with them. So I think these kind of cards are really helpful. Twin just isn't as good. Blizzard isn't as good. Dark Rulers are an insane card. I think that yes, you can. Some decks can play around Dark Ruler with a DSR, but if sometimes they just can't get to that, right? So I think that can be kind of fire. I know that like the Yubel deck can always like have a way to be Dark Ruler, but not every deck can. So I think Dark Ruler is just like really nice, very low commitment, and it's not once per turn. So if you open double Dark Ruler, you can break apart every board pretty much. Herald of the Abyss isn't as good. 1-for-1s aren't that good. XYZ Encore isn't that good because that isn't really in the format. I don't really like Spellbound either. Subversion can have some spot because of the fact that you might have some room for more engine cards because of the fact that you lose access to some Snake Eyes. But I think we've seen that this card isn't really that good overall. Book of Moon is not good. I think Eclipse is main deckable because not only is a card that can help break your opponent's board because it books everything face down, it's also a card that helps you stop access to, like, if your opponent tries to impermanence you, Valor you, going first, you can use to dodge it to let your combo resolve, and then going second, obviously, it can help you answer your opponent's board as well as you make your card dodge targeting effects, which is really, really strong, right? So if they try to rage you, you can like chain, book it face down, and that is like, in my opinion, really, really strong, just because of the fact that like it, you're getting those +1 interactions, and I think that type of interaction is really strong. The fact that it's a quick play allows it to be used first or second, which not a lot of breakers are really good first and second all the time, right? Like Droplets and like Thrust are just cards that are good first and second, so I think that's like a unique consideration. But yeah, so I'll put them in this, switch a little bit around. I think Ultimate Slayer is a really good side deck slot because I think you can play like Sen and Tis can like out Phantom. You can use Slayer to like maybe like out you know, if you play like the Evil Twin package, you can use that to outlink monsters because of sensor cost. Even if they have a negates, it doesn't matter. It's able to like out a lot of boards as a result of that. So just overall really fire. Econ unfortunately is cheeks. Don't really think it's that good at the moment. Like I said, you're not really getting strong enough +1s. Soul Release is cool, but I think a lot of people have their interruptions on the board, so it's not that good. Snatch still falls in the same category as Mind Control, Change of Heart, so I would put it up there. Crowd's House Designator is main deckable or even side deckable just because of how powerful it is. Same with Call by the Grave. It's just, and it's like it's like an interruption or an extender, both in one. I would say Monster Reborn is main deckable if you want just more engine cards. Shaddoll Fusion unfortunately isn't as good. Gravekeeper's Inscription is potential because of the fact that it can interrupt your opponent's graveyard. Going second, unfortunately, I don't think it's that good in the meta game. I think it was way better in tier format when it did have a lot of potential. I think Nadir is a really good card to maybe consider main decking. If you could main deck it, Power Prosperity would be a card you would play. Power Desires would be a card you could play. There's just consistency cards, so I wouldn't even consider them like breakers or anything of those sorts. But I mean, they're just good cards in general that you would play in your main deck. That if your deck can warrant it. Same with Set Rotation. Same with Shaking Game. I don't think you need to play Necro Valley. I don't think it's that good. Instant Fusion is a good card if you're playing a deck like Infernoids that can, you know, if you can summon something fire off of instant. Metatrons I think is good in the side deck because of the fact that a lot of people play the Fiendsmith engine, so it's dual purpose being able to go first. And I like the fact, like, you know, droplets and eclipse are quick spells, so they can be utilized first or second. I really like that. I like cards in the side deck that are useful first and second, so I think that would be a consideration for myself. Mistaken Arrest isn't really that good. Share Ride isn't really good. Mistaken Arrest might have some, I guess there might be some like scenario where you might want it, but I mean, you do go +1 over it. Maybe. I don't really think it's that crazy though. Magical Springs isn't, maybe some potential, like I said, if you're playing like Despia maybe, and you can get a lot of draws against like maybe Bell, you can like activate Springs to draw like, you know, off the throne, off like the pain, off like the gaze. You're drawing like 4 cards, right? So maybe it's just like worth it. Love Our Obedience, I don't think it's good because not a lot of people are playing it. Same with Salesman. Die-Fi is really good to main deck if your deck could main deck it. Deck Lockdown is a really good side deck. Floodgate at the moment. Same with Skill Drain. Same with Anti-Spell. Right? Same with Gozen. Same with Rob. We all know these cards are good, right? Like, these are just generic Floodgates that if your deck could play, you would play them. I think Organism is like potential. It's one of those cards that is really good against Despia, but it's only really good against Despia. It's like not really good against any other deck. But it's a card that would be played if they could play it. DDG is probably a side deck card with Thrust. Harpy Featherstorm, I guess if your deck plays it, you could. Daruma is really good for going first if you want a trap that's settable off Thrust. Same with Black Goat. Same with Erad. Same with Deck Devastation. Evenly Match, I think, is a card you can even main deck because of how big of a blowout it is, even though a lot of people typically have sided it. Deflector's cheeks at the moment, and I think Solemn Judge is going to be the new staple side deck for generic going first cards, just because, you know, it's just good. Same with Strike. But yeah, I think these are overall my rundown. If you guys are interested in hearing a little bit more about each of these different breakers and how they function ultimately in the metagame, you can definitely reach out to me on my Metafy. But yeah, we'll love to talk to you guys more about this. We have a discussion in the Discord that I'm a part of in the classroom where we can maybe go further into each of these. But looking forward to it, and thank you guys for your time. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.